In this demonstration video, we're going to look at using Ekahau Site Survey to create a basic plan. Now, this tool is one of the more advanced site survey design tools available, and they do also offer some add-on hardware to go with it. For example, if you get the Ekahau Sidekick, you will have the ability to see some very good detailed spectrum analysis built right into the tool. And if you're doing an actual survey, you can capture this spectrum information from the Sidekick. And the Sidekick itself also has a couple of Wi-Fi adapters in it to be able to capture Wi-Fi information as well during a survey. I'm not really focused right now on doing a site survey, so I'm not going to focus on that part. We're going to look more at the design side of things, but I did just want to point that out there with this tool. The first thing we need to do is add our map. So we're going to click on Add Map and grab the executive floor plan right here. And that brings in our floor plan. Now, like any design tool, we need to make sure our floor plan is properly calibrated so that the propagation algorithms can do their work for us. So for example, if we go in here and choose the measurement tool to calibrate, and if we say this is 120 feet instead of 10 feet, well, that's going to be very different. So now when I place an access point on this map and it generates my propagation pattern, you can see the pattern that it's generating there, even with no walls drawn. If I go back in and calibrate and say, oh, I'm sorry, I have made a mistake, and what I thought was 120 feet is actually only 10 feet. Well, now look at my propagation pattern. It is completely different. Now we're green everywhere, right? So it's very important to make sure that you understand the calibration feature of your tool. So make sure you're using that feature right in the beginning to get things right. Now you can also go into your preferences for your project and choose the meters versus feet, dBm versus milliwatt, and other parameters you might want to set for the project. So make sure you go into your preferences and set those parameters. Now, in addition, you can go in and choose your area tool and then design the area where you actually care about having coverage. So if I go in and choose this outside perimeter of my facility, like so, and again, you'd want to be slower and a little more accurate in a real scenario where you're trying to build out such a perimeter. But we've now got a perimeter area specified saying that's where we actually want our coverage. Now, the interesting thing about that is we've got the perimeter defined, and if we edit the area, we can go in and choose what it actually is. So we might want to say, well, it's high-speed connectivity, and we want to add some devices. So we can say we're going to have 35 laptops that are high SLA, and we have 25 tablets that are low SLA, and we have 35 smartphones that are low SLA. And maybe we have another 35 smartphones that are just set to background sync. So we can set all of this information for that particular area, and we can define individual requirement areas that are different, that vary on the floor plan if we want to. So now that I've done that, I can go ahead and draw some walls. So for this example, we're just going to draw our dry walls. And so I'm going to put some dry walls all the way around the perimeter. And then we'll add some on the inside here as well, so that we see similar results to what we've seen in other tools if you've watched the videos for the other tools. And once again, I want to reiterate, like I did in the videos for all of the tools, zoom in, get very detailed, make sure you don't have gaps. It affects propagation. This is just a demonstration of the basic feature of the tool. So now that we have that in place, we can place a single AP if we want to. So let's just go ahead and place a single AP, and you can see the propagation and how the walls do impact propagation. If we go into our AP and adjust the output power settings, we could certainly do that. So we might want to edit the 2.4 gigahertz radio and say, well, we're only doing 10 milliwatts out of the 2.4 gigahertz radio. And then if we look at 2.4 gigahertz only, we can see the impact of that propagation and the results that we're getting. If we lower that down to 6 milliwatts, we can see the impact there. So that's the basic concept of adding the AP. But we also have the ability to have it automatically add APs for us. So we can go in, choose what we want to implement, customize parameters if we want to, click on Create the Plan, and it'll automatically place APs that it thinks it needs. Now here, it's not just signal strength. So before, when we added an AP individually, we were seeing the individual AP signal strength. But signal strength is not all that matters when you have a capacity area defined like this, right? Your requirement area is defined with all of those devices, so we have to try to accommodate them in some way. And notice what it did. It gave me a 1, 6, and 11 on 2.4, and it turned one of them off. This one right here is turned off. And then it gave me the different channels in 5 gigahertz. Now, I'm not a fan of the channel plan that it set up, given that this is such a small network. So I want to go into my channel plan, and I want to disable my DFS and even possible DFS channels. And we're just going to stick with Uni 1 and Uni 3 and not the old ISM, which is now part of Uni 3. So we'll just stick with those and click on Create Plan. And that redoes the plan so that I'm using channels that are supported by the vast majority of clients on the planet. And I have that configured. So just like that, I've created a survey result, or rather a design result, with this simple tool. So you can see when I say simple, that it's simple to get the job done once you know the basics of the tool, but it's very complicated, very powerful as far as using all the features. You could spend a week in Ekahau Site Survey and still not use all the features. So this is another tool. You want to download a trial version of it, work with it, see how it works as you're in search of that right tool to do wireless design. And hopefully this helps you understand some of the basic concepts that we've talked about in the CWDP course, as well as the CWDP study guide from CWNP.